What is up, guys? DT Ninja here to give you guys my RuroKen Hokkaido Arc Chapter 44 discussion. Okay, guys, as you guys know, I did my review. We looked at the Chapter 44 where Nagakura faces off against Hyobei, the skull of the Kenkaku Heki, and he obliterates him. He splits him in half. He goes all out. He shows why he's the greatest Shinsengumi. And yeah, it was really awesome. However, after, to his surprise and everyone else, Hyobei the Skull splits in half and is actually two brothers. They're twin brothers, Hyobei Mataza and Hyobei Matasuke. So Matasuke and Mataza, they're twin brothers. They're both general level for the Kenkaku Heki. So they're both generals of the Kenkaku Heki, and we finally get, the reveal. But that was a bit disappointing in that. However, we did get to see a few things in the chapter about Nagakura, and also we get to see more about Hyobei's power. Let's get right into the discussion. Number one, why did Nagakura change his beliefs as a swordsman in the Meiji era? So there was this scene in this chapter where he says, I don't want to have to kill you. So right now, surrender peacefully, and that'll be it. We don't have to fight. He's trying to prevent him from going all out and having to he's showing mercy. This is very interesting because it kind of reminds me a little of Kenshin, a little bit here. And so he's saying, I'm no longer a wolf who believes in Oxokzan. Just like Saito. Saito believes in Oxokzan. He's completely living this day by day. He hasn't changed at all in this. This code he lives by. Nagakura is different. He's changed. Why do you think that? Why has this happened? Well, if you look at certain things, you can see why. One thing, I feel like Heisuke died in the Aburo Nakoji incident right in front of Nagakura. I mean, he literally died right in front of his eyes. So I feel like this was a really traumatic scene for Nagakura. It was, he still has nightmares about it. We saw it in chapter 30, I think it was 37. Yeah, he woke up from that nightmare, and yeah, you could call it a dream, but that is literally what happened to him. So, and then we got those words from Heisuke saying, Gamshin, you got to get out of this. Get out of the Shinsengumi while you can. It's going to crumble. I don't want to see you hurt. I really care about you. So that must have really gotten to him. Not only that, when he returned home, his wife died. His wife died after giving birth to their child. So that was probably traumatic as well. So it's like two things all at once in the same month. It's pretty crazy. And also, just like Nagakura, Abe also lost someone very important to him. He lost, Hattori Sensei right in front of his eyes, just like Nagakura. So I feel Nagakura can truly understand Abe, and that might be the reason why we have that scene with Nagakura bringing Abe back from just about when he's about to throw his life away. So that was a really, a really powerful scene, but it just shows Nagakura's character. He's merciful, but he can be strong. He can be ruthless as well, but I do like that about him. It does remind me of Kenshin. And speaking of Kenshin, when he faced off against Byakuya, we had this really intense fight, right? But then there's this moment where Nagakura steps in, and he's like, I'm not a wolf. Because, Byakuya's like, I'd love to see your spiritual animal, like your spiritual power, because he can see, like, this spiritual beast within. And he's like, are you a wolf like Saito? And he's like, I'm not a wolf. I'm more like a Tanuki. And then he goes on to actually negotiate a deal with Byakuya. And he's sitting there and he's like, you know what, Byakuya, I understand you have this plan to build, to raise warriors to help Japan, but we can't overlook what you did at Kabato Prison. That was uncalled for. But we might be able to set something up with the government if you work with us. So he's trying to help before something actually happens and he has to step in. And we saw that again when Mishima was trying to shoot. You see him with his rifle, and he has his rifle right at Sojo's head, and you see Nagakura is like, that's not what a warrior would do. That's not what a police officer would do. So he somehow has this ability to get through to people. And it's very unique. But in this chapter, I feel like that is one of the biggest reasons, Heisuke, and that kind of helped him figure out, maybe, I can learn to understand people better. Maybe we were wrong. Maybe it's not just about kill or be killed, but maybe we can prevent death from even happening. So that's very interesting to me. So definitely losing Heisuke was a trigger, and probably his wife as well. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you guys think? Number 2, do you think it's possible that Koshijiro experienced something similar to Nagakura? Now, what I mean by that is he had a traumatic experience. He was in the, Nagakura was in the Boshin War, right? He was in Aburo-Nakoji, he was in Ikadaya, he was in all these really great battles for the Shinsengumi. But then you got, on the other side, you got Koshijiro, Kaoru's father, who fought in another war. And that was in Kyushu, I believe. It's the other one, the Satsuma Rebellion. So this was also had to have been traumatic, because I remember the Satsuma Rebellion was where the last stand of the samurai were, right? And they get shot down by all the gunfire. So this had to have been traumatic for him to he would have to fight for the samurai, obviously, right? And he would have to try to kill, and that goes against the Kamiya Kashin Ryu. So something must have happened. I don't know if it's something with a comrade or just his beliefs in general. But yeah, there's something there. And then we go back to the wife. After all, we've never heard something about Kaoru's mother. It's very, we only heard about the father, but there are things that are not there that make me wonder. There has to be some connection to the Satsuma Rebellion for Koshijiro to just stop and leave Tokyo and pretend to be dead. Maybe the government even, made it so he disappeared and then he left to Hokkaido. Maybe he was in shame that he had to kill, and it really messed with him. So in this case, it's the opposite. Nagakura was, pretty much he was reckless, and he would kill if he had to, but then he changed to, merciful. And then Koshijiro was the opposite. He was merciful, and he believed in training the spirit rather than killing with a sword, but now he's forced to kill, so maybe it's the opposite with Koshijiro. That's my thinking, and maybe Nagakura was introduced to show us these similarities, because Nagakura is carefree. Nagakura is a kendo instructor. He's also very skilled, and he also has children. So, and also he lives in Hokkaido. So there's a lot of similarities there. But maybe that's why Watsuki decided to show Nagakura in that manner. He also says at the gravesite of the Shinsengumi, which is very interesting, he says all the comrades that have passed, I'm just a man who survived, into the Meiji era. He doesn't even mention that he's a great swordsman. We know Nagakura is a legendary swordsman, but like he's just like, I'm a guy who survived. It just sounds like he really has, you know, some scars from the past. And maybe that's Koshijiro. You know, maybe that's some hints there. But yeah. Okay, let's go to number 3. How did Nagakura stop the giant spherical attack of Hyobei? Okay, the giant sphere. The giant sphere is all of the blades. All of the blades are coming around and they form this sphere, right? And right as it goes Sekiriki, right as you know, Hyobei goes Sekiriki, this huge sphere, I mean it's massive, is just pouring down right on Nagakura. Nagakura is one man and he's literally doing this and he dispels all of the power and it just disappears. I'm like, whoa. We saw him the first time when him and Saito teamed up and he was able to break through that attack. This is crazy. So his swords are crossed like this, and the attacks are unable to go anywhere. It's like they're blocked. So first of all, there's a focus here. So he's focused. The swords are focused on a single point. You can see the edge where the blade is. That's where the focus is. So his blades are crossed at that point. So he can't move his powers at all. And by the way, when I mean powers, I don't mean his just blade. Because yes, he did hit his blade, but his power comes from his blade. And I'll get to that in a little bit. I kind of have an idea of what Hyobei's power truly is. For a while, I thought it was like a blade and it multiplies, but I don't think that's the case at all. I think there's a little bit more to this. But anyways, he focuses his sword on a single point. He seems to know Nagakura, he seems to know Hyobei's weak spot, which seems to be that focal point in the blade where it crosses. He was probably watching Abe fight, you know, because Abe's shooting. So he's probably watching really intently at how Hyobei is moving his blades. So that's what I'm thinking. Nagakura is a very smart tactician. He's really smart. So like Saito, but he definitely is able to adapt his strategy very well, and we see that take place in this chapter. So that was really cool. Yeah, that's my thinking. Now, what is the Foxblade Haori? Now, what am I talking about? The Foxblade Haori is the new revision of his attack. You know the Haori is supposedly his defensive wall that's invisible, right? So the Haori obviously is the battle armor that surrounds him, and it's kind of invisible, right? I mean, it's not his clothes, right? But he's able to deflect, you know, somehow. Well, this one is a little different. It's not focused. This one has spirals. This one is out of control. This one has more freedom. So it's very interesting. This one seems to create, he's like creating spiral, but instead of the spiral in the middle and having focus all at one point, it spirals out so he can attack multiple people at once. So this one seems to be a lot more for fighting multiple opponents at once rather than a one-on-one fight. We saw what happened with Nagakura when he faced him one-on-one, but when he was revealed to be two people, he stepped back and he started spiraling his attacks, and it broke the blade of one of his swords and Saito's hilt as well. You got some of the soldiers being attacked and cut up. So it was really effective. But yeah, it appears that Hyobei creates a spiraling energy. Now this is where it gets back to his attack. it's a energy. It's not necessarily wind. It does kind of look similar to wind, but I feel like it's an actual energy disguised as a blade. Like literally it's energy and it cuts. So that's why I feel like, even the Haori spiraling attack, the one that Nagakura faced, is very similar, except the blades multiply as energy, not blades themselves. That would make a whole lot more sense. And also, it feels more otherworldly. It's not like explainable. So I kind of figured that's probably what it is. It seems to be, because when it shows the spiral, we have this white kind of line, and then it shows it attacking them. But it's not like wind. It feels like more like energy. It's energy that it releases from the sword. So that's my feeling. I could be wrong, but it is very powerful, and we see it. Also, that would explain why Nagakura was able to dispel all the energy at once. So that kind of explains what actually Hyobei's power is. So if he truly did have like 1,000 blades or whatever, which what it seems like, then he wouldn't have, he would have blades broken, right? But there's nothing. It's just dispelling like it's energy. So that's my feeling on that. That explains how Nagakura was able to do that. This also explains why Hyobei has this energy surrounding him. You see him like with this energy while he's talking to Abe, while he's just standing there ready to fight him in the previous chapters. I was like, what is that spiraling energy? Why is it there? So maybe the energy, is focused around him, and when he starts to use the attacks, it just multiplies. So that's what I'm thinking. Like, that's how it works. But anyways. Alright guys, the last question. If Nagakura faced Shishio in Kyoto, would he have been able to stop him on his own? Would he have stopped him on his own? Well, this is very interesting. So we learn a lot in this chapter that Nagakura is really strong. We learn how powerful he is with his Ryubi Sambiki, and there are a few things. So first, we learn 3 things about Nagakura in this chapter. 1, he's the strongest Shinsengumi. There's no doubt about it. 2, he focuses on defense a lot for his dragon tail. Okay? And with that, the dragon tail makes it inescapable. So he makes that attack inescapable because it makes you immobile and puts fear in your eyes. So we saw that with Hyobei. Would he have been able to do that with Shishio? I think so, yes. If he used the right strategy, yeah, no doubt about it. Remember, Saito used a great strategy. He just didn't know he had a metal plate in his head. So I do feel that Nagakura, if he had Shishio vulnerable, he could have split him right down the middle. There's no doubt about it. I do feel that. Now, his stamina would come into question because he's an older man now, but that attack, that is a very powerful. I would put that on Amakakaru Ryu no Hirameki level, and definitely more accurate, deadly. So, because it slices the body in half. So, yes, I do feel Nagakura could defeat Shishio. So that's my feeling. And the third thing that we learned is strategy can win any fight. Strategy. If you have the right strategy, you can win. And we learned that with Abe as well. I mean, literally, he had it won. At least it looked like it. He had the Hyobei on the ropes but suddenly, he changed his strategy. So like I said, strategy is everything in a fight. So anyways, the only reason Hyobei was able to live is because of the fact they were two people. If it was one person, he was a dead man. Okay, guys, that is the chapter and my discussion. I hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, chapter 47 will be, the English will be out here soon as well. So more things to look forward to. Here is a quick look at chapter 45. The review will be coming next week. We'll be looking at the past with Abe and the Shinsengumi as well as the Gordio Eiji. So anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next one.